everyone. Welcome to season 3 of the Education Concierge Podcast. This is Benita G. I am the Education Concierge, and I am here today with Mr. Richard Williams. And look, let me tell y'all something. When I tell you once again to go on LinkedIn and connect with people and have real conversations, don't be like, hey, happy birthday, or hey, congratulations on a new job. That's great. But really look into their profile, really look into what they're about, what they're saying, how they're commenting, comment back. And that is how I found Mr. Williams. And I'm going to let you learn more about him. But this is what I want to say. We only bring authentic people on here to talk about the different layers of education. And this is a layer of education we may not have discussed before, but I want you to make sure you have your Trello up, you have your notes up, you have your sticky note, because you know I love some sticky notes, your ink pen, your Sharpie, and you be ready to take notes to understand how we get rid of another layer of education and why it's sometimes better for us to step out of the classroom, step out of the administrative office, and start our own business so that we can come from the outside in to help solve the problems we have in education. So without further ado, and as we say here, since you're family now, once you come in for a conversation, you're family. And I'm from the South, so the third time you come over to the house, you got to go fix your own plate. Welcome to the Education Concierge Podcast. Please introduce yourself and tell us about your profession, your business, and your career.
Sure. Hello, I am Richard Williams. Currently, I am the founder and CEO of Ubuntu Educational Services, which is my latest venture into education reform and really my purpose of supporting all students and really helping to be a change agent in society in general. It just turned May, so second month of existence, based out of Massachusetts, but I provide services across the nation. And really it's focused on student advocacy for students with exceptionalities, who may have an exceptionality, who access education using a 504 plan, or really any student that needs an extra voice to help amplify theirs and their family's voice. I think as a career special educator of 12 years, oftentimes I noticed where the student had one way of seeing the world, their way, the family had their way, and even within that, individual members had their own ways. And then everybody at school had their own way, and we're all sitting at a table, and sometimes voices weren't heard. And I made it an effort in every meeting I was ever in to either bring voices who weren't present or to amplify or create the space for others to hear sometimes those silenced voices. But I started my education career in Atlanta, Georgia, or the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia, down in Hampton. While I was in my master's program at Clark Atlanta University, who were most recently featured by Michelle Obama. She had a nice Clark Atlanta shirt on the other day, so very proud of that one. But I started their Master's of Exceptional Education program there in 2010 and started as a paraprofessional that December. So I started school in August, was in the school 3 days before Christmas break as a paraprofessional with the intent on figuring out how to be a co-teacher only in English, since for whatever reason, co-teachers often aren't in history classes, which are my two favorite subjects. So I had to, get in where I fit in, and it was English. So I wanted to be that person. But through circumstance and just, chance of a teacher being out or needing a potty break or so on and so forth, I found my way up to our self-contained, emotionally disturbed classroom in the middle school that had all 3 grades. And from the moment I walked in the door, I knew it was home. That this was my tribe, as one of my mentors words. These are the people that that get me, and we kind of just collaborate very organically and authentically. And by the end of that year, I was offered a provisional teaching license without student teaching and assumed the teacher role that August. And it's been a roller coaster ride, but an amazing one ever since. I worked at that school for fortunately 2 years, and really made a lot of headway, not only with learning the craft or the art of teaching, because contrary to the status quo, teaching is not a science, it's an art. You need a certain skill set, but you're an artist in that classroom. So really learning the art of teaching, but also learning and expanding the program at my school. So I had the opportunity to be one of the first self-contained ED classrooms to utilize our district's community-based instruction program. So we got free community-based trips within the confines of the county. I think it was twice a month, once or twice a month. And it was, they drop the bus off, or the bus picks us up and goes anywhere, and brings us back. No questions asked. And you kind of justify it for some sort of either instructional enrichment, or for me, it was a mental health thing. Like, you need to get out of the office or the classroom or the house or wherever you are all day, all the time. And it was also a way to do authentic and genuine social emotional learning that isn't a script from a book, but that's learning through experience. We're going to get mad while we're out at the bowling alley, or we're going to get mad at the farm, or we're going to get happy or sad. We're going to experience life out of the classroom and out of a script. So what do we do? How does this really work? So we were going to learn some stuff and then try it out. Sometimes it went well, sometimes it didn't go so great. And we would go back to that place and try it again until it got great. And it was never a punishment. It was like, all right, kind of like a reflection of, what did you as a person do well and do not so good? What do you want to try again next time? And do you want to go? And oftentimes it was like, I want to go because I want to apologize maybe for, maybe rolling our eyes at someone, or I want to show that I am not who they think I am based on that one experience. Like my 6th, 7th, and 8th grade babies had so much insight and wisdom in their short little lives. I was amazed. But I transitioned there into a therapeutic setting in Georgia. I was their behavior specialist for their whole K-12 program. So it was 2 main schools, because one was the middle high together. And then I think it was like 6 or 7 like satellite locations that we were trying to transition students from the very, very restricted center to a kind of like a self-contained class in another school, and kind of ease them out into the co-taught setting. Because that is a culture shock, going from severity of the continuum of services and placement. So I think oftentimes we like to say, oh, everyone deserves inclusion, let's go throw them in now. You don't do right. Think about you go buy, I don't know, a goldfish. You don't just throw it in your tank at home. You let it acclimate. You kind of give it time to adjust. You don't expect instant. I think in the year of 2021 and 2020, we're all about houseplants, right?
Yeah.
When you get your houseplant, it's got to kind of settle for a minute before you start doing stuff.
Yes.
It's the similar, like we all have that. We need, any living thing needs to acclimate to its environment.
So I'm gonna pause because I want to ask. This is the problem I have with that. Being a regular classroom teacher, who is not, or was not at the time, now I am, trained to, 1, be a co-teacher.
Right.
2, trained in any type of special education services or techniques. But yet and still, I'll never forget my first year teaching, 3 days before school starts. So now I'm straight out of Hampton, 23 years old. Luckily, I come from a family of educators, and luckily my mom, my godmother, my aunts, my uncles, my family members have purchased all of my stuff for my classroom. My mom came down for 2 days, helped me get everything straight, organized, everything. That's straight. I did not do student teaching either, but I had done long-term subbing at home. I had been in the classroom. I grew up in the classroom. taken all my classes, done all my observations, but I still graduated with an English degree and not a degree in English education.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the class, I'm getting prepared, and the principal walks in and she goes, "Oh, you have your reading class," because I was teaching third grade at the time. "Your reading group is an inclusion group." So I'm looking at her going, not really sure. I've heard of that, but I'm not really sure like what that is.
Right.
And so she walks out.
Mm-hmm.
And so the special ed teacher is there, and I cannot remember her name. That's why I was on my phone. I was trying to remember her name. Mother-daughter duo, Sussex County, Virginia. So if y'all are listening, thank you. And they came in and they sat there. The mother had been teaching for as long as I had been alive.
Mm-hmm.
And her daughter like half of that. And they said, okay, so inclusion is this. This is what it looks like. And I said, I have no idea how I should look in my class. And they really were like, you know what? We're here to support you. We got you. And when I tell you, thank goodness that was a great experience as a first year teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think I took any classes in understanding any type of, I've had more now because now certification, and just because I know my students are inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be a better educator, but what do we need to do? Because I keep feel like we sending educators out and we're sending them and we're saying, oh, we're going to be inclusion and we have more inclusion. And I love the analogy you said, like the goldfish or the houseplants. Yes, we do want our students to be able to come out, and we want our students to become engaged more in the general education setting that are ready. But yeah, we just throw the same way you throw the teacher in there, you throw the kids in there. Right. So what would be some and if you're talking to a new teacher, because we have them coming out now, graduations are happening. Definitely. What would be a strategy for them to do to be ready? Because it's going to happen. Like, you're going to get there, they're going to give you a class, and you're going to look at your schedule and you're like, what is this? Oh, I have a co-teacher. Oh, I have 20, this is a class of 20, but 10 are inclusion. Mm-hmm. What would be a strategy he or she?
What does that mean? Yeah, I think for one, I would offer that being given the opportunity to be a co-teacher or an inclusive teacher is an amazing personal and professional development opportunity, because you're going to learn professionally. Like one of my professors at Clark, she kind of broke it down to us in a very easy way for me, and it's always kind of stuck with me. General education teachers are the masters of their content. Even if it's, early childhood or elementary, you are the master at like at numbers and understanding how to teach a little person who's never seen, an Arabic numeral, what that means. You're perfect at that. That's what you do. Like you said, you have an English degree. Any book, like let's go on. Let's write about it. Let's do it. Whereas exceptional education teachers are the masters of strategies and pedagogy. We don't really learn one way. Everything we do is like, well, here's an egg, and here are 28 ways you can do something with that egg. This is when you might use it here, or it could go. There's a lot of gray in special ed, which makes it look hard. And sometimes I think even beginning with some of those classes, like you're like, whew, all right, there's a lot of ways I can teach phonemic awareness. How do I know which one? Because I actually happen to teach an intro to exceptional ed course for master's students at American University who are working on their general education degree. And most of them, it's a required course, which I'm not sure if all gen ed programs do that, but at American, you got to come through one of us in the SPED department to get at least a little bit of insight as to what special ed is. And if it's not, I really hope that soon every pre-service teacher at least gets one course. I mean, it's nowhere near enough, but one course to at least answer what is inclusion, kind of get the definitions.
Mm-hmm. So the first strategy would be to understand general ed. Once you master your content,
right,
you have that co-teacher there who has these strategies. And I don't know I don't know if new teachers or anyone's listening, the power of working in a team and the power of working in a group is essential in education. I know we don't think it is, but I'm telling you.
And I would almost offer that really in order to be the most effective teacher, and I'm not talking just test scores because I hate those things, but just a good teacher who creates an affirmative, uplifting, safe, and vulnerable classroom where kids can learn to get messy and make mistakes and experience life is to go into it with the expectation that you're going to have an exceptional student in your classroom come day one, because you will, whether or not they're identified or not. So after graduation, like, please do party it up, celebrate it, because that was a whole accomplishment.
Yes.
But as you're getting ready to get into the classroom, you know, you're finding all the cool stuff at the school supply store and all that good stuff, read an article, because grab it before that library access gets denied or revoked once they confer your degree, or grab, Google inclusive education, or like the organization I'm very active in is the Council for Exceptional Children.
Yes.
The professional organization for special education. We're the international organization. We create the standards for teacher prep, both initial and advanced in exceptional education. There's a plethora of books on co-teaching, because there's different models. It's a whole art. It is, again, another art, because sharing your space with another person is not a science. We got to learn personalities, body language. Woo, it's a whole thing.
So I will say that this coming out, understanding what you're doing. I have been a member and always read articles and blogs from Exceptional Child.
Mm-hmm.
Being a general ed teacher, this is that was one of the, like you said, one of the sources I was always going to. They were pushing things into my email. I was reading, connecting with other things, and just, I know for me, I can sit here and say, I don't know if she's a doctor now, but Michelle, what was her name? Michelle Mitchell from Huntington Middle School in Newport News, Virginia. She was my assistant principal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, this is what she said. She said, when we say we're teaching all the children, that means all the children.
All of them.
And that has stuck with me. She was like, and you said something important, field trips. When we went on field trips, all the children went on the field trip.
Right. Everybody went.
And I had never, even when I was in school, I remember when she said it, it made me go back and remember, I grew up all meant all.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where the gap was, but I see us coming back to all inclusive. And I love what you said. And I have to remember that. And I'm going to share that again. As we're entering classrooms, and even if you're not a new teacher, us seasoned teachers, every time we get a new group, we have to remember that we're going to have students that are going to possibly be diagnosed already and or not diagnosed, that we need to be paying attention to and looking for strategies and skills to help our scholars.
Yeah, and I would even push that a little further and go, when we say diagnosis, we don't always mean an impairment.
Right.
You're going to have the student who is quiet or may not be quiet, or is just them and is gifted. You could have this student that is both. You're going to have every student possible every year in your random group of however many students. Even in my small groups of 10 or 15 students at a time, like, each one was a whole unique person with whole unique needs. And okay, it's my job to serve and support you as the student. So let me step up. What do I need to read on the side? Or who do I need to talk to? Who can I call? Back then I wasn't as big on Twitter, but now I'm real quick. Hey, I got an issue, guys. And Twitter will just hop on it and retweets and comments this. Here's a link. Here's boom, problem solved. 20 minutes. I'm done.
Let me tell you something. Black Twitter community and teacher Twitter run the world. Like, I'm telling you, like, I totally agree.
Yeah, so, I love teacher Twitter, and I love parts of academic Twitter.
Part,
because you kind of got to navigate through academic Twitter. But teacher Twitter, like we know, like we tired, we sitting either in the classroom at the end of the day with our shoes off and our feet on the desk, kind of like, all right, I got to figure this out before I go, so let's make this quick. What do y'all know? All right, bet, wrap this in the lesson plan tomorrow, I'm off.
Well, 2 more questions. This is the next one. I got this off your website. It says about you. I'm dedicated to advancing DEI work in special education and education at large. It is my firm belief that the only way to liberation is through DEI. Explain it to me like I'm a 3-year-old.
Right. So diversity, equity, inclusion to me mean more than including, certain races or genders, but what the root of DEI to me in my just experience of being othered my entire life, research in DEI is really the effort to remind all of us, both within and between groups, that we are all human. And we all innately, we don't deserve it. We didn't do anything to deserve it. We were born. We exist, therefore we are human. And equity is the floor, not the ceiling.
Wow.
And so when we look at that, you have the demographic stratification, by race or gender or sexuality or origin or religion that I think most DEI we think of when we think of DEI, but you also have the all those other categories. You have disability, and within disability, you have so many. I mean, IDEA has so many, and there are more out there that just didn't fit in the boxes. And we all kind of fit. I think any human within our Western social construct can be both oppressed and oppressed, depending on the situation. And looking at the DEI kind of concept is the way to remove that polarity of oppression and oppressed, and just really move towards a center of existence, not of judgment, not of hierarchy, just we're here, I think, because they will teach you way more than you can teach them, and vice versa, in so many other ways. And that is the way to liberating our students from these systems and processes that deny their humanity and joy. I think that's one of the main reasons I left the typical K-12 system, is I got tired of seeing the joy in kids' eyes go away. No matter how hard I tried, the systems were stronger than me. And it's come to a point where I had to leave that I realized the system can be weakened from the inside. And I think there are amazing individuals doing that. But there is no reform for our education system. It's a dismantle and rebuild. Yes. And the only way to really do that is from both within and without, and from outside.
I love it. And I'm glad, the more we talk, the more I talk to educators, the more progressive education I see, where it's just the gates have opened, where we've been saying this, but we've been saying this in our groups and in our huddles. And now we're saying this to the masses, and we're literally saying, look, reform is great for certain things, but this is not the thing. In education, we literally have to dismantle, disrupt, and then rebuild. And anytime you come to someone that's been a structure or institution for a long time, and you say the words dismantle, disrupt, and rebuild, they get scared. And the pushback and the comeback is real. But I refuse to accept it. Like, literally, I can't. We no longer can accept it. And now when I say we, it means the community, the citizens, the nation, the state, the city, the suburbs, the rural, the urban, nobody can take that. We cannot accept the fact that we're releasing scholars and saying, oh, they're college ready, and then they can't even write a paper.
They're not.
And they, even in community, they're at the community college in remedial classes. Oh, but we graduated them. No. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your business. So tell us, how can we connect with you on social media, or how do we connect with you to hire you, to say, hey, can you come in and train my teachers? Can you come in and train my community workers, parents, PTAs? Can you come in and give us our rights, rules, and responsibilities?
My Twitter is at rwill98, RWILL. The number is 98. LinkedIn is Richard D. Williams. And then my organization is Ubuntu. So ubuntued.net, ubuntued.net. And it's there. And then you can link to, on the website, there's a Calendly link to schedule I do free consultations, be it for a student advocacy, teacher mentoring, a PD thing. You just want to have somebody that seems like they might get it and you want to have a conversation, like, let's talk. Let's do it. And also links to the Twitter and Facebook page for the organization is there. And then those are my main sources. I do have an
I'm gonna wrap up the same way we always wrap up. We wrap up two ways. The first way is, my name is Benita. I am an education concierge, because people just come to me and they say, this is my problem in education. Who do you know? How can you help us? And then I just kind of connect and coordinate all things of and for education. But back in the day, well, before we were born, back in the day in the old hotels, your concierge, and they still have concierge now. You go in, you check in, you're with your boo, your man, your woman, no kids allowed. And you are enjoying just a getaway or a birthday or a celebration. And you get in and you say to the concierge, you say to him or her, I would love to go to this 5-star restaurant. Can you get us reservations? And they go, yes. I would love to go to this Broadway show. Can you get it and charge it to the room, or here's, the card or whatever. And they take care of you. So I always ask my guests, if you could have tickets to any production, restaurant, location, destination, where would it be and why? Oh, and pre-COVID. So don't worry about all of that.
All right, cool. Does it have to be domestic?
No. Anywhere.
My request would be to go on a week-long safari in Botswana, because I absolutely love nature and wildlife. African elephants are my favorite, and I really want to see them before the rest of humanity makes them extinct. I was watching this documentary on last night, got all teary-eyed. But yeah, it would be to experience Africa in its most authentic and non-Western way possible.
I love it. And the reason I do this is it gives us a different perspective about who we're having a conversation with. And so now we know, and y'all can't see this, but two things I'm going to shout out. One, his amazing plants. He's a plant dad. And two, he's rocking this sweatshirt that says educate, not incarceration. Education, not incarceration. And I've been looking at it the whole time, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to just send him a message later, ask him where he got it from, go order me one. But
I gotta find it. It was on Instagram one day, and I've been looking for it because I think they have t-shirts. It's getting hot, so I need a t-shirt now.
Right, and then where I am, I don't really need. Well, I do need a sweatshirt because they had an AC on blast all the time. Right. But I want to thank you first of all for taking time out of your day, out of your night, and coming on and speaking to us and having a conversation. This is something that I haven't had on my podcast about inclusion, about advocacy, about special needs, special accommodations. And so it's something that I was like, oh wait, this is missing. And this is a huge part of our daily lives. I also have, we're gonna get it together. So this is what we do here. I'm a good old country Christian Baptist chick. And when we have a guest at the church, the pastor allows the guest pastor to end the service as long as you don't open the doors of the church. So if you could, in your way, however you would like to, close us out here on the Education Concierge Podcast, Season 3, with Mr. Richard Williams of Ubuntu. Did I say it right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and if those of y'all who know me, y'all know I love that word and the definition. Can you tell the people the definition behind Ubuntu? Because then they understand why I love it.
I think to sum it up, you are because I am, or I am because you are. I get it flipped sometimes. And I think that in itself, like, just sit with that for a minute. But I think I would close this out with a gentle reminder that while it seems like the world is burning, it is. Stop denying it. It is okay that the world is burning, because if we look at the cycle of nature, right? Sometimes there are fires or floods, and then a beautiful new thing emerges, and we are on the precipice of a new thing. So as I end every email with 2 words, and lately I've added 2 more, and I'll end it with this: being empowered and encouraged.
And with that, we are going to end the show because I'm not going to ruin this moment. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, we're going to wrap it up here. We'll speak to you next time.